Okay, so Dellinger reports that 14 or 16 team playoff is coming. 4 auto bids are coming for the Big Ten and SEC, 2 for the Big 12, ACC 1G5. How are people feeling about this? Ross Dellinger is as connected as anybody, and he references at the beginning of the article that he got input and insight from members of all of these conferences involved. All of the people involved had talked to him. So that means we're going to find out how everybody is feeling about this right now. There's an inevitability to this because the language in the new playoff agreement, once the current format ends after this year, you no longer need unanimity from everybody, a unanimous vote to enact changes. There is a line. I had to die laughing. There was a line in Dellinger's story about, hey, it does say in this new agreement that everybody has to, the input of everybody has to be weighed. Let's see if I can find it real quick, because it is funny. Yeah, the agreement grants the league's decision-making powers over the format. So leagues, you guys, SEC, Big Ten, you can do whatever you want, but directs them to have meaningful consultation and collect input from the other conferences before making their decision. Well, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? They made sure to include in the actual contract here, the agreement grants the league's decision-making powers over the format, but directs them, you guys, you need to have meaningful consultation, okay? So listen to the G5, all right? Go listen to Gloria over there, get some G5 input, collect some input from Brett Yormark, make sure you hear him out, and Jim Phillips. I'm sure they're really taking that into consideration. That is like for fans of The Office out there, when Michael Scott gets asked by Pam, hey, what did you do with that paper from corporate? And he says, oh, I put it in the filing cabinet for papers from corporate. And then cuts to him throwing it in the trash. That's where that feedback will go. But very, very cute that they include that in there. Thank you for that. No one's going to be real thrilled with this. No one is going to be real happy with this. They understand their lot in life. And you don't get much of the sentiment that I had, that I just gave you, like, hey, at least it's this and not no guarantees, or at least it's this and not just one spot. You get a different sort of tone here from everybody involved. So Ross Dellinger says many administrators in the Big 12 and ACC are not in support of a format with so many automatic qualifiers designated for the SEC and Big 10. And many of them have, at least subtly, taken aim at the format over the last several months. Well, I mean, that part's fine. Look, we live in a Twitter world. Everybody's got some Twitter fingers. If you want to just take some subtle shots when you're speaking to people in the media or, whatever it might be, doing a radio show, a podcast, something like that, by all means, that's kind of the way of the world now. Everybody does that. But I don't know that it's going to get anything accomplished. Here's what Jim Phillips did, according to Dellinger. He told Yahoo Sports the ACC has not cemented a position on the format. But, quote, there needs to be fairness and access to the championship. It needs to be a true championship, not artificial and not an invitational. Not artificial and not an invitational. Well, not an invitational would be that little subtle jab that Dellinger was just talking about there. Jim Phillips said, well, we don't have a position, but this better not just become an invitational. Well, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's going to be an invitational, namely a lot of invites headed to the SEC and Big Ten. So sorry about that, Jim. He's never been one that seemingly has held enough clout to do anything really meaningful. And I'm not even saying that totally as like a trying to crap on the guy thing. It is just a part of reality. But I also think he's been a little goofy with his bark. I mean, definitely all bark, no bite, but a little goofy with some of the bark. Hey, again, taking a shot, I'm fine with it. Everybody does that these days. It is what it is. Here's what Brett Yormark said, according to Dellinger. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark says his conference has been exploring, quote, predictive analysis on what different playoff models would mean for conference participation if applied in the recent history of the postseason. So taking predictive analysis, okay, if you go back the last 5-10 years or whatever and take this format, plug it into what we had those years, get some predictive analysis on what that would mean, maybe it would show that the Big 12 would deserve better than what it is actually going to get with the two bids. That's what I take that to mean. Will that actually legitimately be helpful here? I don't know, but I at least appreciate that Yormark thinks of things like that and is trying. Okay. Maybe a losing hand, but he's going to go down swinging. It might be me up there at the plate against Randy Johnson in his prime, about ready to throw 101, straight on the inside black. I've got no chance, but he's going to go out there and swing. Meanwhile, group of five, look, the group of five's not going to be real happy with this. Group of five leaders are prepared to fight to potentially expand upon their one auto access spot. That's according to the AAC Commissioner Tim Pernetti. Quote, college football is stronger than ever as the CFP evolves. We have a responsibility to student athletes, the integrity of the game, and our fans to build a future that includes expanded access for every conference. At the very least, the group of five will keep its one automatic spot through 2031. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that, G5, in getting another spot. And again, this is why, last year we were at one point having a conversation about, is the Big 12 going to get shut out of this thing entirely? Because it was just going to the four highest ranked conference champs. Would the Big 12 actually get shut out entirely if a Tulane or an Army were to jump then in front of them for the spot beyond that? And this is you could be dealing with that every single year or all the time. Now here you're getting two automatic bids. Again, could be worse. Could be worse. Just a friendly reminder there about where things were at before all of this. So I guess you could say, as it relates to the Big 12, Brett Yormark was not exactly like ready to go down swinging in terms of like bringing a really big gun to the battle here. He was just kind of like, I'm going to try and be as prepared as possible, make sure I have all the data, and if there is anything that I can do to help here, I will try. Again, notice the different approach there between like Jim Phillips is a little bit more, I'm going to take my jab, and Brett Yormark's like, well, I'm going to make sure I've got as much ammo as possible, and we'll see what happens. We'll let it all play out. And the G5 is kind of like, hey, yeah, of course we're going to fight this. But everybody there's really no point. Everybody knows and understands what's going on here. Now, what's funny is, as R. Webb alluded to earlier in the show, there was a piece of this about ESPN where says, I will talk more about this next time, I promise, because I've got a huge, this can be almost an entire show. But he mentions ESPN and says, though they have not publicly commented, ESPN execs have expressed to at least some college leaders apprehension about a format that provides such lopsided automatic access. As one power broker put it, quote, you are going to alienate part of the country. Oh, well, now ESPN's worried about alienating part of the country. Wow. Isn't that interesting? After, taking Texas and Oklahoma from the SEC, from the Big 12, plopping them in the SEC, TV networks playing a role in cutting out the entire Pac-12. And I guess we can talk about whether or not that's specifically ESPN when Fox is more involved with the Big 10 and Pac-12 and everything that happened there. But that was all ushered in by the fact that it was started with Texas and Oklahoma going from Big 12 to SEC. Like TV networks, again, Samuel L. Jackson meme, mowing the guy down with the gun. And then I keep saying Samuel L. Jackson. It's not even him. I was thinking it was like a Pulp Fiction thing. I don't know that it is. Whatever. The guy with the gun mows somebody down and then turns around and is like, wait, why would they do this? No, it was you. It was you, ESPN. You guys. You are the reason that you're in position to worry about that. Why is this? This is now the way that you're concerned about it. Crazy. The sport is just not in a good place, man. It's not in a good place as far as all the big picture stuff happening. But I will choose to just take this somewhat positively now for the Big 12, somewhat positively.